with brand new sound from Jalen Hurts. Guess what? We're going to get right to it. That's how new this sound is.
Okay.
Take a listen.
We have a heck of an opportunity in front of us, and we've worked really hard to be where we are now. So to have the opportunity is something that you earn. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you earn. So we want to work really hard to take advantage of it.
Okay, there we go. Bruce, so many of the early storylines are about Mahomes and the Eagles as a team and as a unit. Do you think that Jalen Hurts is being disrespected at all?
Wow. No, not at all. I mean, he's a finalist for the Offensive Player of the Year award. He's a finalist for the MVP. And he is favored to bring the Super Bowl back to Philadelphia, even though he's facing the best quarterback in the league. So I'm sorry, if that's disrespect, give me a heaping helping. I mean, right, my goodness, that's not disrespect at all.
Why does he
now
say
here's what happened. Brother ain't trying to be funny. All right, here's what is the deal. There is not a lot of buzz around Jalen, but there's a reason for that. One, Nick, all of the great quarterbacks in the league, and this year he was one of the best in the league, right? This year. But all of the guys who do it for a decade or so, they've done it in the past and the present with their arm, right? That's just how it is. Lamar has done it for a few years running, but outside of him, it's with your arm. Jalen, even though he's an efficient passer and become a really good passer, he throws the ball 30 times a game. That was 24th in the league in attempts per game. In the playoffs, he's thrown it 24 times a game. Only Brock Purdy threw it less, and obviously that was because he got injured. And then here's the flip side. He doesn't dazzle you with his legs. He's a great runner, but he's not like Lamar, like Michael Vick, like Justin Fields, not even like Josh Allen. And here's a graphic that shows you obviously quarterbacks are usually first in the league in yards per attempt, right?
Yep.
Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, that's the top four, even Daniel Jones.
And that's not amongst quarterbacks. That's amongst players.
That's everybody.
Exactly.
Jalen is like a running back, right? 4.6 a game, per carry, 21st in the league. So his press conference, I have nothing but respect for this guy's mentality and character and integrity and just leadership. But his press conferences are dull.
Yeah,
kind of like
by design.
Like his game is kind of dull, and that's why I think it may feel like he's being disrespected because there's no pop.
Well, I don't think Jalen Hurts is being disrespected. I think Jalen Hurts being an MVP finalist is kind of disrespectful to the actual MVP candidates.
Oh, what? He's in the Super Bowl.
Oh, he couldn't be second?
No, listen, I think he's going to finish second. Do I think Jalen Hurts is an MVP caliber player? No. And the thing is, I don't think anyone does. I think people are like him, which they should. I think they're impressed by how he carries himself, which it would be impressive for a 34-year-old, much less a 24-year-old. I think they root for him because he's kind of a sports underdog, because he lost his job at Alabama, because he wasn't a top 10 pick, a first-round pick. He was a late second-round pick. And because of all those things, and because some people are quarterback win zealots, they pretend to think he is a fully established player when he is not. And when we know the Eagles don't yet, at least with his current injury status, trust him fully throwing the football. I watched this playoff game against the Niners when the Niners were drawing dead to move the ball, when the Eagles were up 2 scores, late third quarter, in field goal range. And they called 5 out of 6 plays designed quarterback runs.
That was unwise, though.
But it also speaks to the fact that maybe it's just because of the injury, or maybe it's because he hasn't fully, kind of fleshed out his full passing game. They didn't want him throwing the ball there in short chunks to pick up yards and grind the clock. And you can say, oh, we always run the ball to
grinds the clock.
I understand, but not typically with putting your somewhat injured quarterback at risk. And listen, he has not played well in these playoffs. He has not played well since he got hurt. And I think we all know that. I think we've all watched it and seen it. And people are hesitant to say it because he does seem like such a good kid and the story is so good. And he has far exceeded anyone's expectations for what he would play like this season. But he's not the... If take Patrick Mahomes out of it, he's still not the league MVP.
Well, then who is?
Joe Burrow would have been on the list without question.
He can be on the list.
Joe Burrow would have been at the top of the list. You guys know how critical I've been of Josh Allen. Josh Allen was better than Jalen this season.
Oh my God, we are really in uncharted territory now.
I mean, they're better players. I'll give you that.
Well, then what
I'd
are we
rather
talking
have
about?
them. But he led his team to a 14-1 record. They couldn't even beat the Saints without him.
Hold on. But I guess my question
He
is...
does it differently. He does it differently. That's all.
But he doesn't play defense, where they had the most prolific pass rush since the '85 Bears that you guys have talked quite a bit about. And yes, he is a very effective runner for a team that everyone seems to be a very effective runner on behind that offensive line, whether it's Miles Sanders, Gainwell, or Boston Scott when they're playing the Giants. So, I don't think in this football game, the Eagles have every single edge except for quarterback. They have the better group of pass catchers, the better offensive line, the better running game, the better D-line, the better linebackers, the better secondary. Yet it's essentially a pick-em. Why?
Because Mahomes is that good.
Well,
and you're right. I agree with you that Philly has the advantage everywhere. But it's not like the Chiefs aren't good. It's not like their offensive line isn't good.
No. They have good. Totally. I guess my point is, yes, Mahomes is that good, but if we are really talking about the guy who would have been MVP if he stayed healthy, which is what I'm told he is, and the guy who's going to win MVP, that margin shouldn't be enough to overcome every other edge. But it's right now this game's considered a coin flip. Do you think I'm being unfair, Wiles?
I think you're being a little bit unfair.
Okay.
I think you gave us an appetizer of Jalen Hurts respect and then a big meal of disrespect.
Yes.
And then the dessert was like a little bit of like a little respectful brownie, but it wasn't the whole thing. Most of it was disrespectful.
You know Matt Ryan, Rich Gannon. There have been guys that won the MVP award that weren't like all-time great.
But that's not a defense of him.
Can I show you the stat?
Yes,
this
please.
is just, I think the narrative doesn't match necessarily the statistics. So here's what he was doing during the season. This includes the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was number 1 in completion percentage. His touchdown and interception rate was best in the league. His passer rating was the best in the league. For the categories where he's not first, he has more yards per pass than Mahomes. And he's got a better touchdown percentage than Joe Burrow. And I know the other thing is which is kind of boring. No one likes it, not turning the ball over. He hasn't turned the ball over either. 38 touchdowns, 8 turnovers. Mahomes has 10 more touchdowns, 5 more turnovers. So maybe he hasn't had the Heisman moment. If anything, his Heisman moment is him getting, Royal Rumble style 4th and 1. That doesn't maybe galvanize people outside the Philadelphia metro region. But I think there's an air of disrespect that is permeating the Super Bowl, and I'm here to correct it.
It's permeating from right over there. You started out nice.
Listen, I am... Wiles, what do they call me?
Mr. Consistency.
And I am going to be consistent in that I can, unlike, and I'm not talking about you guys, certain folks in sports media, tailor my analysis directly to how much I like the person, or instead I can be honest. He seems like a great leader. Right. He seems like an awesome person, and he already has, I think, overachieved given where he was drafted and given the player he was in college. All of those things can be true. And it can also be true that if those numbers are actually indicative of his level of play, then the Eagles should be in a dominant position in this game. Because we know they have a better defense than the Chiefs. We know they have a better pass rush. We know they have a better running game. We know they have the best offensive line in the league. If he doesn't even have to play Mahomes even, if he can just play Mahomes to a bunch of 10-9 rounds instead of 10-8 rounds, then the Eagles should win this game by more than a touchdown. I don't think anybody sees that coming. And I think it's because deep down there are still concerns about Jalen, who has 270 yards passing total in these playoffs, his ability to consistently move the ball through the air. And maybe it's because of the injury.
Awesome graphics, too.
That's all
Dusty, you should have gave those to me.
Oh.
You don't send me any of that
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
That was excellent.
Well, Dusty,
Please
it's got
split
these
it up.
Philly graphics ready to go.
I know. I'm like,
come in and they're all ready to rock.
You know.
Chiefs pass catching unit not at full strength. Updates today. Hardman, Juju, and Kadarius Toney all did not practice. The good news is we're pretty far away from the Super Bowl. Report from Mike Florio. Kansas City has no plans to pursue Odell Beckham Jr. for the Super Bowl. I wasn't expecting them to. Nick, should the Chiefs bring in OBJ? I didn't even know this was a thing.
No, of course not. This is craziness. Like, the idea that Odell is going to come in for one game and that one game be the Super Bowl is madness. But it is also because the Chiefs right now are without their top three receivers. They finished that game without their top three receivers. I mentioned it, Marcus Kemp, who's a special teamer, who has 4 career catches, caught a critical first down, throw for a first down in the fourth quarter. But this is what, the fact that I think it's crazy to bring in Odell speaks to the confidence that I think the rest of the media is growing to have in Patrick Mahomes. Because we see every other quarterback in these positions has at least one, if not 2, awesome receivers. The Eagles have they have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Pardon me. Sorry about that. We saw the 2 receivers for Cincinnati. Josh Allen has Diggs. We saw back when Russell Wilson was a good player, he had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. We see it across the league. And for me, all I want, Brew, is guys that aren't going to fumble the ball and are going to be in the right place, and Mahomes will walk it to him.
Wow. Shots at Sky Moore.
Sky Moore, hey, he came through on the punt return.
He won the game.
But I want guys that won't turn the ball over and will be where they need to be, like MVS was in that game. MVS didn't make any individually great plays, but he had the ball handed to him for 118 yards in the game, except for the one nice run after catch.
Okay,
118.
Look,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was handed
think
to him.
if they don't
Literally.
add another receiver, I don't think they're in trouble, right? However, I think it makes sense.
Oh, goodness
really?
gracious.
If these 3 won't be back, if your 3 top receivers won't be back, then why not just take a look at OBJ? First, I'd meet with my leaders, Mahomes, Kelsey, and whoever else, and be like, look, would you guys be cool with this? If they're not, then of course you don't do it. But if they're open to it, because Nick, you know this, for all the shenanigans and the colorful personality and all that, teammates love OBJ. Players around the league love OBJ. I think he could step in there, and I don't think the guys would feel like, what's he
Unethical.
doing here? What's he doing?
What do you mean unethical?
No.
It's unethical.
Well, now I
How?
might change
It's
my opinion.
legal.
How's it unethical?
As long as it's legal, it's not unethical in football.
The Eagles could sign him.
No. If you've been on the team, you can rejoin the team. This is my rules. Like Eric Weddle, you want to come back to the Rams? Like, oh my God, what a great story. You just can't go get a great wide receiver for the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous.
According to the rules, you can't.
I disagree.
And you don't
Sign
think he could go
Marshawn
out there and
Lynch.
make a play? Could he make a play?
Goal line, Marshawn Lynch. Oh my God, he's suited up. He comes out of the locker room. It's unethical.
You got to
not
pay
be
him.
allowed to do it.
You got to pay him.
It's ridiculous.
He could make a play, and at the very least, he could be a decoy.
I don't.
At the very, you better believe Philly would respect him.
God bless
I've
Odell.
won Nick over.
First, we have made it to the final game of the season. In a season he was never going to play a snap in, and people are still like, hey, is Odell going to play? Hey, guy's a bigger star now than he made when he made the catch on Sunday Night Football.
You signed Julian Edelman?
Go there.
Why?
Sorry.
Too much to go break the family show.
I didn't mean to.
Coming up next, weekly dose of motivation.